Good evening and welcome to our Hymers College webinar. I'm Shrinidhi and I joined Hymers in Year 4 from Heselmount School. I'm one of the current heads of school and I've just completed my A-levels in Maths, Biology and Chemistry.
Hi, my name's Dane Jewler and I joined Hymers in Year 7 from St Andrews Primary School in Hull, and I'm the other head of school this year and I've just finished my A-levels in Art, RE and Drama. Tonight we're joined by our headmaster, who is sporting a rather vibrant orange tie tonight, Mr Stanley, and the head of our junior school, Mr Doyle.
We're also joined by Dr Bennett, who teaches Maths in the senior school, is a current head of Year 8 and who will be head of Year 7 in 2021 to 2022. And we're also joined by two of our current Year 8 pupils who will introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Lydia and I'm a Year 8 pupil.
Sorry, we were supposed to have another one, but yeah, live TV.
Julian, current team leader of Year 4 in the junior school, and by two of our current Year 6 pupils who will introduce themselves.
Hi, my name's Joshua and I'm a Year 6 pupil at Hymers.
Hi, my name's Ash and I'm a Year 6 pupil in Hymers.
Thank you to the parents for the questions that have been sent in prior to this evening. We should be able to get through all of these in the time that we have available. If you haven't submitted a question but would like to do so, please use the Q&A function on your screen. Our Deputy Head of Management, Mr Wright, will be responding to these questions through that feature and forwarding them to us for inclusion in this discussion.
We've had a number of questions about entrance testing, both for the junior school and the senior school. So we'll start by asking Mr Stanley and Mr Doyle to talk through this process and the forms that the assessments take in the two parts of the school.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Shrinidhi. Thanks, Dane. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mr Stanley, the head of Hymers, and it's a great privilege to have that position. Our entrance assessments, both in the senior school and the junior school, are designed to spot potential. It's the potential to thrive at a school like Hymers, not the potential just to pass tests or assessments. We want to see young people with interests and passions, people who are prepared to have a go at things. The best preparation for the assessments, particularly in the senior school, is to work hard at your current school, get stuck into the English and Maths in particular, the national curriculum courses that you'll be doing in those subjects, a good preparation for our assessments. Other than that, we wouldn't expect formal preparation for our entrance tests. We do hope that you'll be the sort of person who wants to read good books, both fiction and non-fiction, would read good quality magazines, whether or not it's the Week Junior edition or it's Science and Nature magazines, that sort of thing. You might play chess, you might do puzzles because you enjoy doing puzzles. You may play an instrument. If you do so, keep practicing that instrument. If not, that's okay, but you might want to think about taking one up. Get outside, get lots of fresh air, pick up hobbies, that sort of thing. We really want to spot potential and breadth and a love of learning and a curiosity for the world. In terms of the test format in the senior school, it starts with an informal interview, either with myself or another senior member of staff like Dr. Bennett. During that informal interview, there'll be a reading passage for you to discuss with the member of staff. We put you into a group to do some problem-solving activities, which really are designed to be fun, actually, and are as much about team building and getting to know other people as anything else. You'll sit a maths paper and an English paper and an online aptitude test. I'm sometimes asked the question, is it possible to fail the Hymers entrance tests? And that's obviously a good question. It is a real consideration for pupils and parents as they put in an application. It's very important that we consider all the information that comes our way in the round. And that's why the interview is an important part of the process. We really do want to get to know your sons and your daughters, to know what makes them tick, to know what their strengths and their weaknesses are. The report that comes from the feeder school is very significant as well. We need to know about you from the teachers who currently teach you as well. And putting that information together, along with the performance, your performances in those assessments, does sometimes, in some cases, lead us to the conclusion that Hymers College might not be the right place for you. It's really important for a young person that they find a school that allows them to thrive and reach their potential. and there is no one size fits all when it comes to schooling. And so, as I say, there are occasions when we do recommend that we're not the right school for a pupil. So, Srinidhi, I hope that's been informative. I hope that's answered the question. I'll hand over to Mr. Doyle, who'll tell us a little bit more about how things work in the junior school.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley.
Thank you. I mean, a lot of what Mr. Stanley has said applies really in the junior school as well. I mean, we're very keen to put younger children very much at ease through the whole process. So there'll be chances to have a break, something to eat, and a bit of a play, and get to know some of the other candidates. And I think, sometimes children will be coming along not knowing many people, and worried about leaving their friends at perhaps the primary school that they're at. And actually, the assessment day is a good opportunity to make some connections and feel more settled about the place. The staff operating those sessions, those days, are very friendly, very supportive. It's not about catching the children out. It's about, as I say, putting them at their ease so that they can really show what they're capable of. I mean, just before I go on to the actual assessments that make up that day, I often say to parents that three things really, sort of above IQ really, I think are important in terms of children coming into Hymers and doing well. And the first is a child having the right attitude, and things like the school report will obviously give some pointers about that. But we also get a feel for that in the way that the child approaches the assessments and through that day. Secondly, would be a willingness to get involved in the life of the school, because I think most children do, and they're really keen to get involved in perhaps the music and the sport and the different clubs and the drama and extracurricular opportunities. But in doing that, of course, children make connections, more friendships, and feel perhaps more involved and engaged in the school and have that sense of belonging. And the third one would be supportive parents, and really probably the fact that you're on this webinar tonight suggests that you're very interested in your child's education and checking things out in the right way. But really those three things we're trying to get a sense of through references from the school, through meeting the child, and so forth. In terms of what your child will actually do, they will read aloud to either myself or one of my management team, which includes Mrs. Julian actually. They'll do a comprehension exercise as well, so answering questions about a passage, a maths task as well, and a short piece of writing, just not a full story, but just to get an idea of the sort of descriptive writing really. And then, as Mr. Stanley said, a sort of informal interview. Interview is probably not the right word. It's more of a chat really about hobbies and favourite subjects and things like reading. And really just to follow on from what Mr. Stanley said in terms of preparation, we certainly don't recommend tutoring. I mean, I think as parents, obviously, to be involved in your child's education is really important, to listen to the feedback that you're getting from their current school, and asking questions about how they're getting on with their English and maths, I think is really important. But certainly just keeping up reading of good books, particularly fiction, I think really helps and sets your child up. Certainly, if, as Mr. Stanley said, if we feel on that, that assessment that Hymers at that point in time isn't the right school, we'd want to give you really detailed feedback about that and work with you. And it may be sometimes, parents and children are keen to come back at a later date, and we'd certainly want to work with you and keep in touch really, and track things and give that opportunity, keep the door open for perhaps a later entry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dial. So, Lydia, you've experienced the entrance testing for the senior school. How did you find the entrance test when you took it?
I did find it quite challenging, as all exams usually are, but it was really good to find out what kind of things the school would be teaching us, and obviously I did make it through.
That's good to know. Ash and Josh, how did you find the junior school testing prior to joining in year 4?
Yeah, it was good. It was good, and they did like a maths thing and a comprehension that we did. That was challenging, but it was also good to know what we were doing, and yeah.
And
Thank you,
then,
Josh.
like Josh said, we had like the maths, and we also had the reading and comprehension. So it was challenging, but it was like good to know what these school teachers and stuff.
Thank you.
So several questions have come in about class sizes and year group sizes and how they vary at different stages in the school. In my personal experience at A level, the average class size is about eight or nine people. So it's quite a small group of people. So you kind of get that more one-on-one relationship with your teachers in both the academic and an emotional sense as well. So you get really good relationships, which just helps with the learning. Trinity, you've studied different subjects from me at A level. What are your experiences been with the class sizes?
So I study biology, chemistry and maths and chemistry are the two most popular A levels. But even then, my class sizes are quite small. So for biology, it ranges from 6 to 10, and for maths and chemistry around 10. And this has been really beneficial for me because the teacher has enough time to work with each individual pupil on their strengths and weaknesses, but it also gives us as pupils time to talk to the teacher about any questions we may have and spend lunch times with them going over problems like I have done with Dr. Bennett. So it has been very useful.
Thank you. Mr. Stanley, could you please give us some more information about how year group sizes are managed in the sixth form and the senior school?
Okay, yeah, interesting. I'll start with the senior school, if that's all right. Traditionally, we've been a school with an intake of about 108 pupils into the senior school in year 7, and that's been in 4 classes of 27. Now, recently, as applications have risen, we've actually, in certain year groups, gone up to 5 classes. Next year's year 7 is a case in point. We're going up to 5 classes of approximately 25, 26 students. So we're going to have a year group of up to 130. So we flex really, and that means that we've got, we've got the capacity to take in pupils who we feel are suited to Hymers and the senior school at Hymers. So that doesn't limit the number of places that we've got available. You know, that some people sometimes fear that it might be dependent on the number of year 6 pupils coming through from the junior school, but that's not true. We can flex accordingly. So as I say, typically in the year groups in years 7 to 11, we'll have somewhere between about 108 and 125, 130 students. Class sizes in these year groups, I would imagine Lydia would concur with this, or she'll correct me if I'm wrong, will be somewhere between sort of 24 and 26, 27 students as a maximum. When you get into year 9 and above, for the non-compulsory subjects, you're looking at smaller class sizes between about 15 and 20. Because those are optional subjects. The core subjects tend to be slightly larger. And then, as I say, in the sixth form, as you've said, Dane, the average class size, I think, is 9 in the sixth form. So I hope that answers the question. Lydia, does that reflect your experience in year 8?
Yes, there are usually about 25 students per class.
Okay.
Thank you all. And Mr. Doyle, the same question for you. How do the year group sizes vary in the junior school?
So a little bit like Mr. Stanley touched on, we flex as well. So sometimes parents worry about the intake from Hessel Mount School, which is our associate pre-prep school, and they go up to year 3, and of course we start in year 4. But if there's a big year group from Hessel Mount, that doesn't have any bearing really on applications from outside. We're very lucky in the junior school building that we can change the number of classrooms and form rooms that we have. So for instance, actually, we just recently made a decision. Our current year 4 has 2 classes, and in September that will move to 3 classes into year 5. And our current year 5 has 3 classes, and that will move to 4 classes in September. So as Mr. Stanley said, if a child is right for the school and all those things we talked about earlier, then we will make space. And the other important thing to say is that recently, about 2 months ago, actually, we made a decision with the governors that we would limit junior school class sizes to 24. So that sort of ties in with that moving from 3 classes to 4 with the current year 5. And I think that maximum of 24 for junior school age children is very appropriate, actually.
Mr. Stanley, we've received several questions on the theme of fees, how these vary in different parts of the school, and the framework of the fee remission scheme. Please could you summarise the fee structure and how the fee remission scheme works, the process for applying and the criteria on which it is assessed?
Ooh, there's a lot in there, Serenity, for me to unpack. I'll do my best. There's obviously information on the school website, but I'll do my best with that. We were founded in 1893 by John Hymers to be much rooted in the local community and to be an inclusive school. And that's very much part of our DNA, and we're absolutely committed to that founding mission. And so the first part of your question, that means keeping fees as low as we reasonably can without compromising the quality of the education that we offer. The senior school fees for next year are going to be nudging over about £12,000 for the first time. And £12,000, if you compare those with comparable urban day schools of a similar standing, you will see is very, very reasonable. The year 5 and 6 and year 4 fees are lower than that. And as I say, the best place to get the exact figures is on the school website. The Hymers Fee Remission Scheme is how we do make sure that we remain we fulfill our charitable purpose. And of course, Hymers is an educational charity, and the governors are the trustees of that charity. And what it means is that every penny that comes from fees is invested back in the education of the pupils at Hymers. And it's out of that fee income up until this point in time that we have funded bursary places, means tested places at Hymers on a sliding scale for pupils who otherwise wouldn't be able to benefit from a Hymers education. And there are two criteria that families need to satisfy and pupils need to satisfy to gain some sort of fee assistance to join Hymers. The first one is the financial means test. We have just started outsourcing this to a very well-known company in the independent sector called Bursary Administration Limited, BAL, and they do home visits. And to be blunt, it's quite an intrusive process. We expect full declaration of all financial assets and income, and we do scrutinise the records to make sure that money for bursaries goes to the right families. That's a really important principle. And as I say, as custodians of the charity, the governors do have that responsibility, and they take it seriously. So there's the financial means test that needs to be satisfied as the first criterion for a fee remission place. And the second is academic talent and academic ability, as demonstrated through the entrance assessments. Regrettably, we don't have such a big pot of money that we can fund every fee assisted place that is applied for. And therefore, in keeping with the founding mission of John Hymers, the second criterion is by ability. It's a competitive process, essentially. More details on the school website, and you can get plenty of information from the school's financial department at number 83 Hymers Avenue. So I hope that helps, Serenity. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley. I think you answered every single one of those there. Related to fees and fee remission, does the school provide sporting or musical scholarships?
Good question, and very much tied in, actually. No, we don't. We're quite unlike many other independent schools. We don't offer scholarships for people of talent whose parents, frankly, may well be able to afford the Hymers fees. We actually think that fee assistance should go to people who otherwise wouldn't be able to benefit from a Hymers education, and that's an important principle that has passed down through the decades, actually, at Hymers College.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley.
So one of the things I've enjoyed most about Hymers has been the extracurricular activities that are available to us students. And tonight we've had a question come in about the activities that the sporting or other extracurricular activities that students can get involved with. So Ash and Josh, what activities do you currently get involved in the junior school?
So I do sports club, and I think Ash does choir as well.
I do choir and I do dance club. And then there also is music clubs like the string group, orchestra, wind band. And then there's also chess club, art club, and yeah.
Well, I think we've got quite a wide breadth there. Both of you, again, what is it about the activities that you get involved with that you love so much?
I love the sports club because it helps you improve, and the teacher can give you more tips and pointers on how you can do better in your sports club, in your sports.
And then it's like dance club. It's fun because you like get to do it with your friends, and so you get to enjoy yourselves together.
Nice. And Lydia, from the perspective of a senior school student, what can you get involved with at school, and what is it about it that you enjoy so much?
So like the junior school, there are the sports clubs because for the girls, it's hockey in the first term and then netball and then tennis and summer sports in the third term. So there are always sports clubs going on. And then there are things like drama, and if people play musical instruments, there are orchestras and stuff.
Thank you.
Can I also add, there's loads of other things that goes on in senior school. We've got time capsule club, chess club, puzzle club, so maths puzzles, reading groups, anything you can think of. I'm sure we do it, or there'll be a teacher who will be interested in it. If you tell them you're interested, they'll set up a group for you.
Thanks, Miss. And Srinidhi, can you tell us about your experiences with the extracurriculars at Hymers and the benefits that you've got from them?
Yes, so since my time at year 4, I've got involved with a bunch of different activities at school, but the two that I've done the most are music and sport. So I've been part of the netball team since year 4, and it's been a great opportunity to grow as a team from year by year. We have competitive matches on a Saturday, which have always been a highlight of my week. And aside from the competitiveness, we also have fun games and a staff versus students netball on a normal year. And in terms of the music, I have got involved in, because I play flute, I play in the orchestra and wind band, and there's also smaller groups like flute group and duets. So we do have a lot of opportunities to play in concerts, and this has been great to build my confidence playing in front of a big audience, and also making new friends through music groups. Some of my best friends I've made through music at school, so it's been great.
Well, for me personally, I'm really interested in drama, and the drama department at Hymers is just incredible. We have a wide variety of your fun musicals and also your more serious dramas. Like we've just done Hedda Gabler, and the year before that we'd put on The Addams Family, and I'm pretty sure next year it's Les Mis. So we do have a wide breadth of shows that we cover. And Miss Julian, would you please be able to tell us about the activities that students have available for them in the junior school, and what do you think the benefits are to the students from getting involved in extracurricular activities?
I think, as been said already, there's such a wide range of activities, and we're very passionate, I think, throughout the school, and especially in the junior school, that the children are opened up to all different opportunities, and we like children to try everything. We find that they make new friends, and none of our clubs are selective. So if they want to go to sports club or they want to join the choir, anything that the children want to do, they're encouraged to do. And like Joshua said, they improve, they come on. It doesn't matter what ability you are in the rugby club, you're welcome to go to that rugby club, and you will improve and you will make friends. And that we find that helps them in the classroom because they're busy doing lots of different activities. The same with music, drama, the chess club, the board game clubs, whatever your interest is, there's something for you to go, and it's such an important part of the school.
Thank you, Miss. And the final part of our extracurricular question is for Mr. Stanley or Mr. Doyle. Are all the sports that go on in the school played competitively?
That's a really good question. I'll answer first before I hand over to Mr. Doyle. I just wanted to say, Srinidhi comes across as a very, very nice girl, but she's an absolute killer on the netball course. She's highly, highly competitive, so don't be fooled by that. She certainly plays things competitively, I've got to say. Competition is really, really interesting, and it's important because competition should be at an appropriate level. And that means different things for different pupils. And one of the things we're doing in the senior school next year is reintroducing the house system that was in existence in the school from 1930 to the late 1970s. It's carried on in the junior school, interestingly enough. But, you know, one of the things we're hoping to do through the house system is to widen participation, involve more pupils, in more opportunities to take part in different activities and to take part in competition and different sporting and musical and drama activities at a level that is appropriate for them. Okay, and so, you know, it's absolutely right for some pupils to be playing very competitive sports fixtures week in, week out against different schools in the region, but other pupils, you know, need to be given opportunities that allow them to feel confident to play with their friends, to compete with their friends, and also, you know, develop those lifelong skills through a wide range of opportunities where they are allowed to excel and perform to the best of their abilities. I hope that answers the question, Dave.
Thanks,
and just picking up in the junior school, so in terms of fixtures, which is a big part of junior school life, we look whenever possible to play the whole year group, so all the girls and all the boys against other schools. That's not always possible because not every school is as big as we are, but that might be an A, B, C, D team, lots of movement between the teams as well, but that kind of participation and involvement is crucial. As Mrs. Julian said, the clubs are open to all, and so again, that involvement and keenness is very much rewarded. An example would be we have a sports tour in year 6. So in the autumn term of year 6, the children go down to Worcester for 3 days, and the girls play hockey and netball, and the boys play rugby against 3 different schools. And the selection criteria for that tour is who's been coming along to club. So it's not who's in the A team, who's necessarily the better players, although usually they would be going to club as well because they enjoy it. But if there's somebody a bit, one of the lower teams, but they're very keen to go on that tour to Worcester and do all the other things that we do on tour, like going to Cadbury's World and out for pizza meals and bowling and things like that, then they know that their effort and that positive attitude of going along to the club every week will be rewarded with selection for that. In terms of the house system, as Mr. Stanley said, that's been running for a long time in the junior school, and we have things like Sports Day, which runs through the house system, an inter-house swimming gala, which is great fun, very noisy, all the children in the swimming pool, lots of parents up on the gallery as well. And that's all about everybody being involved. So for instance, on Sports Day, every child will do at least one field event, one track event. In the swimming gala, every child will swim in at least 2 races as well. But really that's nice competition between the houses, but very supportive as well. And I think the children really enjoy that involvement.
Yeah, I remember the swimming galas and the sports tour from junior school really brought out the competitive side out of everyone. Mr. Stanley, we've had a question about the support available to students who are interested in a career in medicine. Could you tell us about the support that is given to those students?
Yes, although you've got a perspective on this, Trinity, but so I'll bounce it back to you shortly. If I can just, I'm not sure whether or not this question is going to come up later, but just talk a little bit more generally about our sixth form preparation for life, because of course schools, as well as being a lot of fun and allowing pupils to find their potential, we're also, we've got a responsibility to help our students, get onto the next stage in life, and we recognise that. And what struck me when I first came at the school is the quality of our careers education, actually, and our university preparation that we give to our sixth formers. One of the best parts of my job is to meet all the year 13 students in the first term to sign off their university applications, and we go through the application, we talk about their hopes, their aspirations, and we talk about how they're going to get there. And they're an incredibly impressive and wonderful group of young people, who've put themselves in a very, very strong position when it comes to university applications. They're encouraged to do work experience, and they get really good, valuable work experience in the sixth form as well. They do a lot of volunteering that always looks very good on any CV or university application. They go through our university practice interviews evening, where we're supported by the old Hymerians, and lots of outside employers support us with that. They've set up their own student-run societies, Medical Society or the Modern Languages Society or the Law Soc, or the Biomedical Society. And, you know, they've engaged speakers from outside the community in those particular professional fields to come and talk to them and other students at lunchtimes. And, you know, showing that initiative and that genuine interest serves them really well. The leadership opportunities that they get in the sixth form here that you don't get at a standalone sixth form college is hugely valuable. So, you know, we do all our very best, the EPQ, Extended Project Qualification, I should say as well, which is a popular option for lots of our students, which they do alongside their A-levels. All these things allow them to really put themselves in a very strong position when it comes to university applications and going to a university interview. And so you'll find our students going off to do all sorts of subjects. You know, Dane's going off to do his drama at a leading drama school, English, history, business, business management is very important, engineering, medicine is a very popular option. I've talked about MedSoc there. Serenity, I will bounce the question back to you. You know, tell me about the preparation you enjoyed. I mean, Serenity is very modest. She's got a place to read medicine at Cambridge, and you know, she's a wonderful student, but she's put herself in that position, but by making the most of the opportunities available to her. So Serenity, how did it work for you, please?
Thank you, Mr. Stanley. Yes, as Mrs. Stanley said, I have applied to do medicine, and I couldn't have got this far without the support from the school. For starters, we started MedSoc, and MedSoc has been great in helping us with our applications and broadening our knowledge within medicine. So for some sessions, we'd go off and do some research on our own and then present to the group. We raised money for charities and we brought in speakers. So that was a really valuable experience, and we could talk about that in interviews and write it on our personal statements. And during the actual UCAS application process, we each had a UCAS advisor, and my UCAS advisor helped tailor my whole application for Cambridge and went through everything step by step with me, and that was really a really useful process. I also had help from Mr. Prescott, who did Oxbridge interview practices with me, and I had a mock interview as well as a general interview evening where I got to practice interviews for my other universities apart from Cambridge. So overall, the support from teachers has been really helpful throughout the whole process. And also through MedSoc, I've had support between students, and we all collaborated together, supported each other throughout the whole thing, because it is quite challenging, but together we got through it in the end. But yes, that was my journey as a whole, and it's been very useful with school. Dane, how have you found the application process? I know yours was very different to mine, doing drama.
Especially living in the COVID world that we're living in right now, drama school applications this year were just crazy. Usually you'd go down to the school and audition in front of a panel, but this year with Zoom life, we should say, the school were just so accommodating in providing me with a venue where I felt comfortable to perform, and also with international applications, because I applied to international schools as well. I found that there were teachers here who just knew exactly how to help me in every question that I had. So in every step of the way, I was just so supported and accommodated here, which is just something that I don't know if I would have got somewhere else. So moving on from that, questions have come in about food options in school and at break times and lunch times, and whether the school has an in-house chef, and whether pupils are allowed to bring in non-healthy snacks alongside healthy food options. So Ash and Josh, would you mind starting us off by telling us what food you currently have available to you in the junior school?
Yeah, so when we go for break times and lunch time, so at break time you can bring in a snack to eat, even if that means so it can be healthy. They recommend healthy, but you can also go a bit unhealthy. But then you have lunch times, which you can bring in either packed lunch or school dinners. The school dinners are quite nice, yes. Anyone who has tried them, yeah, they're really good.
It's like in the school dinners in the canteen, you can there's normally like the main option, there's a vegetarian option, and then there's pasta, jack and potatoes, and then there's like fruit, and then desserts, and then drinks.
Thank you. And Lydia, could you tell us about any differences, if there are any, with your experiences with food in the senior school?
I don't think there are many differences between eating in the junior school and senior school. I usually have a packed lunch, so I go and eat outside with my friends. But from my friends who do get school dinners, I know there's usually a good balance of food. There'll be like a main thing, and then like chips or something, and vegetables and drinks and all. So that's all really good.
Thank you.
Can I just add that we've got the main canteen, but we also serve in the LRC, sort of a quick takeaway hot, could be baguettes as well as pizzas or whatever, that type of thing. So that's quite a quick queue, so people can go and eat outside on the grass on a nice sunny day if they wish.
And another question that you might be able to answer for us, Dr. Bennett, is about how, could you give us a few words about how staff supervision is run on a lunchtime, and also how lunchtimes are managed so that pupils can take part in activities that they want to, and having enough time to get the lunch and also participate in the extracurricular that is offered at Hymers?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got quite a long lunch break at Hymers, an hour and 20 minutes. So we really encourage pupils to take part in activities, to take up some of that time. So we've got a priority timetable for going through the canteen. So people can go to the activity and then have their timetable slot in the canteen to go through quickly, especially with being in bubbles and COVID and so on at the moment. So they'll have their activity and still have time to eat. In regards to supervision, there's not that many children just wandering around really, because lots of people are in their different activities, but we do have supervision team leaders that we've got staff patrolling throughout the school, and also other staff as well, having a timetable of different days. I'm every Monday wandering around seeing what the children are doing, usually playing outside on the grass. It's beautiful to watch. Yeah, so they play football, and staff are always around to lend a helping hand if they need us or want to chat to us.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. So we've had some questions relating to learning support needs and medical needs that students have, and how the school is being proactive in meeting these needs. Mr. Stanley, can you please tell us a bit about how students' learning needs, for example, dyslexia, are met through teaching on a day-to-day basis, and the additional staffing that is in place to support these students?
That's a really good question, actually. Both learning support and nursing and medical needs are areas in which we've been investing more, actually, and we're continuing to invest more. We've got a really good head of learning support, Miss Pettit, who hasn't been with us too long. And, you know, the staff training that she is putting in place, she's just in the last week or two, she's been canvassing staff about trying to gauge their confidence levels in certain, certain requirements of SEN, with a view to putting in some more training in September on INSET for us. Each pupil on the Learning Support Register has a personal educational plan, a PEP, that is circulated to teachers, and those teachers are liaise with Miss Pettit to find out what those adjustments that they need to make within their lessons are. We're interviewing for some additional TA support, teaching assistant support tomorrow, actually. And one innovation that I know you spearheaded, Dr. Bennett, this term is more academic intervention, where we've actually been using sixth formers to support pupils in the younger years who may be struggling with their work. And that's been of great benefit to the younger pupils who may be finding things difficult, but great benefit to the sixth formers as well, who've really enjoyed it. So, it's an area where we are investing more. We are, it's an ever-changing world there. And I've got to say, staff are very receptive and are working really well under a very good head of learning support. With regard to our nursing and welfare provision, we've got one lead full-time nurse, Emma James, who we recruited last January, and she's fantastic. She's got a teaching background, but she came from Doncaster Paediatric ward as well, and she's very used to supporting pupils with a range of medical needs. Obviously, you know, we want pupils with particular medical needs over time to learn to become independent in terms of managing and self-regulating their own medical issues. But she's got a great deal of support in working with young children to give them that confidence. Alongside Emma, we've got 2 part-time nurses, one who's been with us for some time, another I'm just appointing. We're appointing her as a welfare specialist nurse, and she happens to have a mental health specialism and background. And, you know, again, we recognise this is an area where we need to be, where we need to be absolutely at the top of our game. And we believe we're very good, and we're refining it all the time, but we're putting things in place that will make us, you know, even better, I believe. And I know that Mr. Doyle will say that the junior school pupils, you know, use those facilities as well. And you've got your own learning support specialist down in the junior school as well, don't you, Mr. Doyle?
That's right. So Mrs. Eagle is our learning support coordinator in the junior school, who works very closely with Mrs. Patet. And she either helps children individually that might be on a personal education plan, or she gives support in classes to certain groups. All of that will be done in liaison with parents. So if, for instance, the English teacher spots a little bit of a learning issue with a child, first of all, that will be referred through to Mrs. Eagle and Mrs. Patet, but there wouldn't be any assessment process started without the parents being involved. So there would be that discussion. Hopefully the parents would understand, you know, the reasons for going ahead and support that, and then as soon as the assessment had taken place, that would be the parents would be asked back in to sort of discuss the findings and whether a personal education plan was being suggested, or whether just support within lessons would be the way forwards. And certainly just what Mr. Stanley said about the nursing provision, really super. I think we're very lucky on the medical side, but also that welfare and mental health support too. And certainly any medical needs for children coming into the school, part of the sort of paperwork that parents fill in before their child starts, there's an opportunity to tell us about any needs, and the nurses will get involved and often have meetings with parents before the child starts, and make sure obviously that the staff are fully informed and trained in anything that's required.
Thank you both. So now I've got a few individual questions that I'll direct to specific members of the panel individually. So this one's from Mr. Stanley and or Mr. Doyle. With the planned open day being cancelled, are there any plans in place for prospective parents and children to be able to visit the school, or to have some sort of taste today to get a feel for what the school's like?
We're finishing term on Friday. Obviously, 3.5 weeks into the new term, we're holding a whole school open morning, which is obviously the most, will be a really good opportunity to look around the school. So I think it's October the 9th is the date of that. And so I very much encourage you to come along to that. If you cannot make that opportunity, we are looking to put in place certain designated dates for tours in the new term in September and October, and you'll hear more about that. We'll post those on the website.
And to the Year 4 pupils on the panel, does the school have lockers, and are the pupils allowed to take things to do on the bus?
So for me, there are different lockers. So some classrooms have lockers which are a bit smaller, but they can fit everything in, like your bags and your books and everything. And then sometimes there are lockers in the main hall and in the corridors, which are a bit bigger and have more space.
And Mr. Stanley, where can a parent find information about the specific pickup and drop-off times for buses at different villages?
You need to get in touch with Mr. Steve Brown in the finance department at number 83. He's the best person to speak to about that. Mr. Steve Brown in the finance department.
And finally, another one for you, sir. Does the school require overseas students to have a BNO visa?
All overseas students now do require some sort of visa. We have a small number of overseas students, predominantly in the sixth form, and we consider those all on an individual case-by-case basis. And so I would, encourage overseas applicants to, get in touch with us on an individual basis.
So this next question is to Dr. Bennett or Mrs. Julian. What would you say is the benefit of a Hymers education over other schools? Would you like to go first?
If I start, yeah. I think the broadness of a Hymers education is key. Obviously, we are an academic school, and that is very, very important. But we find that at Hymers, through everything else that the children do, that helps with the academics. So the children succeed because there's time given to sport and music and drama and developing the children in all of those areas helps them to achieve well in maths and English and science. And we're very focused on the junior school, on the whole rounded child. And I think that's the main difference between definitely the junior school education and a different school.
I absolutely agree with everything that Mrs. just said, but back that up with, at Hymers, it's cool to be clever or cool to be successful. Everybody supports everybody. There's that culture of willing everybody on and driving everybody forward. Very competitive, as Trinity has mentioned, but that just drives everybody forward as a team with teachers and everybody going in the same direction.
Thanks, Miss. Mr. Stanley, back to you. I know through the past year you've been focusing on inclusion, and we've had a question tonight about how you promote diversity and inclusion at Hymers.
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's got to be done in multiple ways, multiple strands, I think. And, some of it's through the curriculum, through PSHE. And, we're rebooting that at the moment in the senior school. And I know Mr. Doyle in the junior school is also paying attention to that as well. So it's partly through the curriculum, through taught lessons, but it's through the messaging that you give out in assemblies as well. And it's recognising different events, different constituent groups within your school who represent, a different type of pupil. That's really important as well. It's encouraging organic ground up growth through student-run groups like the new sixth form equality group, who are discussing issues of inclusion, diversity and equality. So I think it's got to be multi-stranded, okay? And yes, those, celebrating difference is really important, and you've got to celebrate it in different ways through different fora, through the assemblies, but also through the odd social media tweet and post. I think that's important, and you need to make sure you create a culture whereby all people feel that they can come forward and speak and raise issues and discuss things. And so raising the pupil voice through the student council is very important, encouraging your tutors to tackle difficult issues actually, and train staff to become more aware of different issues is a key challenge as well. All schools, should be tackling at the moment, okay? Because we've got to dare to be different. Schools have got to be inclusive places.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley. And I think this question has come up because of the Euros going on right now. But is there football in the senior school? Mr. Stanley and Mr. Doyle, would you like to answer that?
Mr. Doyle, why don't you talk about football in the junior school first, and then I'll leap in.
Okay, so we take football very seriously in the junior school for boys and girls, actually. So it's currently on the curriculum. So boys' game sessions in the spring term are very much football based, and we have fixtures against other schools and have a sort of internal league as well, which the boys really enjoy. But we play girls football fixtures too, locally in the whole leagues, but also against other independent schools too. In the last 3 years, actually, our under 11 boys team have qualified twice for the Independent Schools Football Association National Final, actually, which is held at St George's Park, which is a wonderful experience for the team to go through to England's training ground and play on the amazing pitches there. So football is, under the leadership of Mr. O'Hara, is taken very seriously, and actually I think those successes at qualifying for those national finals, I think, has kind of fed a sort of desire for football to carry on into the senior school, and that has actually taken place. So the current year 7s, I know, have a football club, and I know in normal times they'd be looking for certain fixtures as well, and I think that's going to carry on into year 8 and then the new crop of year 7s coming through too. Is that right, Mr. Stanley?
Yeah, that's right. We're growing it up from the bottom, as you suggest. And if it hadn't been for the pandemic, 2021 would have been the first time that we'd had some competitive fixtures in football for some time at Hymers. And we recognise that boys and girls want to play it, and boys and girls have been turning up to the year 7 and 8 football club. And yeah, we're growing it up from the bottom, and we've got some good staff who want to get involved in that.
Thank you. And the next question is for any staff who want to chip in. Does the payment for buses happen on an on-demand basis, or do you have to buy a pass?
Who wants to chip in?
I think you can do either.
Yes.
As far as I know, I think you can pay as you go, or you can have a card that you pay on. I think, is it the South Bank bus that you have a pass for? So I think that's maybe paid, I don't know if that's monthly or termly, but that's paid for.
I think that's right, Mrs. Julian. There's a slightly different arrangement for the South Bank bus than there is for the others. Okay, but otherwise, most of them are on a pay-as-you-go basis, actually.
And Mr. Stanley, does the school have any service for looking after the children at the end of school?
Yes, we've got a homework club, which is free of charge till 5:30. Is it the same, Mr. Doyle, 5:30 in the junior school?
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. And thereafter, it incurs a small cost until 6 o'clock.
That's right.
Thank you, sir.
And so our last question will focus on the students' favourite things about Hymers. Ash and Josh, sorry. When you're travelling to school in the morning, what is the first thing you look forward to the most about school?
My favourite thing is mostly when I have a sports lesson on that day. I really enjoy that, but also just coming in to see my friends and meeting up with them on the playground and playing with them.
Yeah, mine's similar to Josh's. Mine's when I'm in the morning to like see my friends when I come to school, and yeah.
Thank you. And Lydia, what is the main thing about school that makes you happy?
Well, I do really like going and seeing my friends and the teachers and seeing everyone, but I also love the variety of subjects we learn. Like Latin isn't that popular a subject in other schools, but it's quite interesting learning different things like Latin.
Thank you. And Nidhi, a slightly different question. Given that we've just completed our last year at Hymers, what do you think you look back on with the most fondness of your experience?
Well, my whole time here over the last 10 years has been incredible, and I will really miss the whole school. But I think the thing that I'll look back on with the most fondness is probably the relationships I have with pupils, all my friends and my teachers. I will really miss them and the supportive environment that the school have provided. I think, Dane, you'll probably agree with that.
Yeah. I'm gonna miss it.
No.
So that wraps up our live question and answer session. If there are any questions that have come up in the Q&A function that we haven't had time to answer during this live webinar, we'll publish a written answer on our open events page of the school website at the same time that we upload this recording to the same site. I'll take this opportunity to give you advance warning of a few dates for your diaries. We've rescheduled our garden party for Saturday, 4th September, and it would be lovely to see and meet as many of you as possible on that day. And then on Saturday, 9th of October, we have our autumn term open morning. All being well, This will be an opportunity for all of you to see the school in action, to be able to tour the school site and to speak with a range of staff. I'd like to inform those of you watching who are interested in joining the sixth form in September 2022 that we'll be hosting our on-site sixth form information evening on Thursday, 4th of November. So please sign up for that by contacting the general office.
All that's left to say is goodbye from Hymers College, and we look forward to seeing you in the future as we're finally able to get back to the programme of on-site events. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye now. Good night.
Bye.